what? This is my car? Are you kidding me right now? I'm just like, I don't know what to say.
Had to make it look like a Lexus commercial out here with your pretty car. So beautiful, I decided to need a new floor mat, so I bought you a brand new set of floor mats to go in there. So, I mean, it truly looks like it's almost brand new.
Thank you so much. Go look inside. Brace yourself, because this is an incredible testimony and it's kind of long, but I promise you're going to want to sit through it. It's really going to bless you, because you're going to realize that God is not just our salvation, our redeemer, our strength. He is also our provider. Let's start with what happened. Well, the Lord, as you can tell by the picture, has given me a car, but it's not just any car. It has a testimony to it. I'll just start from the beginning. When I was growing up, my dad had a car that I was supernaturally drawn to, and it was a Lexus ES300. I remember thinking at the age of 13, I can't wait till I get older because my dad is going to give me this car. Remember, I would get into this car and I would watch him drive it. I couldn't wait till I got older. I couldn't wait till I started driving. I couldn't wait to get his car. It's something I never told my father, but it was something that I really, really wanted. But, to be honest with you, coming from a Russian background, and I'm half Russian, half Jewish. So we don't really do those kind of things, especially because growing up, we didn't have much money. And so it's not something that I would normally expect from my father. When I was 13 years old, my dad left and got remarried. And it was deeply devastating to me. I was really close with my dad. We went fishing every Sunday. We spent a lot of time together. Anyway, so he remarried and he took his car with him. Fast forward, I'm 18 years old and my father calls me. And he tells me, guess what, Anna? I go, what? He goes, I got rid of my car. I said, what do you mean you got rid of your car? Where is it? And he said, oh, I gave it to your stepsister. I said, you did what? I was so devastated. What do you mean you gave your car to my stepsister? He goes, well, I didn't really give it to her. I sold it to her. She was buying a car and I needed the money to buy another car. And so, I sold it to her. I said, Dad, why didn't you tell me? And he said, Anna, I know you don't have the money, and I sold it to her. I said, well, you could have at least asked me. He brushed it off and didn't think twice about it. But for me, I was so deeply, deeply hurt. Look, on the one hand, I love my stepsister. She's super sweet. And, she needed a car. She bought it. She had no idea this is how I was feeling. But to me, as a daughter, it was literally the only thing that I thought my dad would give me, growing up, that was of some kind of significance and that I was really, really drawn to. I never told my dad. I kept it to myself and I forgot about the car until a few years later. I got another phone call from my dad and he told me, I have bad news. He said, remember that car that I sold to your stepsister? I said, yeah, what about it? He said, well, it drowned. I said, what do you mean it drowned? He said, it drowned with Hurricane Sandy. I was devastated. I cried and I mourned for that car. And I hung up the phone and I remember thinking, man, if that car was with me, it would have never drowned. I was far away from the ocean and it would have been okay. It would have been with me. And man, I cried bitter, bitter tears that night. And that was, I thought, the end of the story. So fast forward, I completely forgot about the car. I'm over it. I haven't thought about it in a long time. We forget things, but our Father in heaven does not forget. So I was just recently saved. I get out of church and I get a phone call from my dad. My dad says, hey, I have great news. My best friend is selling his car and he's wondering if you want it. I said, oh, really? That's cool. What car is it? He said, oh, funny enough, it was the same car I used to have. I said, really? A Lexus ES300? He said, yeah, Lexus ES300. I said, wow, that's amazing. I said, perfect. I will buy it. I get off the phone with my dad and I thought, that's super odd. And I remember asking the Lord in my spirit, Lord, why this car? And I heard this clear as day. I heard the Lord say, because I'm a good, good Father. And I burst out into tears. I'm just like, ah! And I was just crying. And I was being healed deep, deep inside. Because again, I completely forgot about this car. But my Father in heaven did not forget. This was the car that I really, really wanted. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that he remembered. I couldn't believe how good he is. I couldn't believe that he was bringing it around. I couldn't believe it. Funny enough, the Lord was testing my heart. Because a few days later, my dad called me again and said, remember that car that my best friend was going to give to you? I have bad news. He decided to give it to his daughter. I said, really? And I'm really mad, and your stepmom's really mad. We're really upset that he made a deal. He was going to give it to you, and he changed his mind. And I couldn't help but smile. I said, Dad, that's okay. I'm not upset in the slightest bit. Honestly, that's actually the right thing to do. First of all, he should have asked her first, and he should give her the car. I said, I'm not upset. It's okay. And so it wasn't the right time. Again, I forget about the car. This is years later. Fast forward to a few months ago. I went to go visit Pastor Rodney Howard Brown at his church in Tampa, Florida. And I'm sitting there at his conference called Occupy. And Pastor Rodney just starts prophesying. I just feel the Lord is going to be releasing cars. People are going to be getting cars here. And so I'm sitting there in the audience, and I feel in my spirit from the Father, I'm going to give you a car. And I thought, what? What do you mean? Like, Lord, I'm not from this church. This is not my church. I haven't tithed to this church. There's people in this church who have been here for such a long time, tithing. I don't want extra favor. I don't feel right about it. I said, Father, if you want to give me a car, it cannot come through Pastor Rodney. So fast forward a month and a half later, this is a month ago, I get an email from someone who watches The Gathering. He said, Anna, I don't know why, but I feel led to buy you a car. I said, what? After a few more emails, I realized he was serious. And so I got on the phone with him and I said, I just want to tell you, I'm very low maintenance. It doesn't have to be a new car. I didn't tell him Lexus. I didn't tell him anything. And so I didn't speak to him for a few weeks, and he randomly called me one day and he said, Anna, great news. I said, what is it? He said, I got you a car. I made the deal. It's yours. It was weird because I was going to get you a brand new Toyota Corolla in Florida, but I didn't have any peace about it. And all of a sudden, my family member called me up. He's an auctioneer. He travels around the country. And he said, you got to get her this car. It's an amazing car. It's an amazing deal. It's in Texas. You got to get it. Trust me, dude. And he said, okay, well, I trust you. And so he bought the car. Done deal. Sent over the payment. And is calling me now, telling me it's a done deal. This is the car. And I was bracing myself. I knew in my spirit it was going to be this car because I knew this is the Father. I said, what car is it? He said, oh, it's a Lexus. What Lexus is it? And he said, oh, it's an ES300. No way. What? I said, I'm pretty sure this is the same car that my dad had. Again, this has been years ago. I called my dad and I said, what car did you have that you got rid of? And he said, it was a Lexus ES300. I couldn't believe it. Put down the phone. I called Kelvin back. Kelvin, God bless you. Thank you. Thank you so much for being obedient with what the Lord was doing. It really blessed me. The Lord told me this car is going to save souls. This car has a testimony. And I just felt during this entire process, there's so many of his kids that say, oh, I can get it myself. I don't need anyone to give it to me. I got it. He wants you to ask him. It says in the Bible, those who delight in him, he will give you the desires of your heart. The Lord showed full circle that he is our good Father.
I can't even speak right now, but this is our Father in heaven is so faithful. What your Father on earth can't do, just ask the Father.
There were two other buyers after it. There was an appointment on it in the afternoon with one of my colleagues, and then I had one of my regulars in Arizona actually called and wanted it for himself and his wife. And the whole time it was so strange. I kept telling my regular in Arizona, I wasn't giving him my whole heart to try to help him get it, and I had only barely talked to Kelvin about this. But it just, I told him it's weird, is it felt more like it was your car or your guys. and over my regular that I know. And so I kind of pushed him off a little bit and pushed him to the side and kept focusing on you guys, and now I know why.
I'm just shocked that it